Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. It is Friday, June 2nd. I want to thank Marina at Heart Center Tarot for having me on her channel tonight. We had a lovely time talking with her and answering questions from the chat. So thank you again, Marina, for inviting me onto your channel. Looking forward to the next time we can hook up. Tonight I want to do a reading on Joe Biden. He recently was at the commencement ceremony, graduation ceremonies at the Air Force Academy, had congratulated all the cadets, and as he was leaving, he tripped over a sandbag on the floor and took a spill. He was uninjured, but right-wing media has been having a field day with a clumsy Joe there, I suppose. So, but I was curious, what was the spiritual meaning behind his trip? One of the material plane results of it was, right-wing media was making fun of Joe Biden, and it meant that the outrage machine on the debt ceiling was now silenced because they're too busy mocking him. Now, just to put the shoe on the other foot, if Trump had taken a spill down the stairs and Melania with him coming off of Air Force One, we would have done the same thing. We would have been watching that video over and over again, being all snarky with ourselves. So in that sense, people falling and humiliating themselves makes other people feel good about, somebody who's high and mighty being taken down a peck or two. On the other side of that, though, is Donald Trump is a very arrogant person who divides people, where Joe Biden doesn't seem to come across as arrogant and tries to unite people. So one is cheering the downfall of a tyrant. The other is cheering the downfall of a compassionate person. Shouldn't cheer people's downfalls, But I get it. But I do get it. Okay, so just kind of don't think of yourself so much holier than thou, because he would have done the same darn thing if we had had the chance. But Joe Biden's fall. Spirit, what can you tell us about that fall from a spiritual point of view? What was the meaning or the purpose behind it? Entertainment purposes only. Here we go. Okay. There's a big burden going on that he's probably carrying. There's a lot going on with this presidency and a lot of stuff going on in the United States right now. So this fall, I think, is showing the hard times that could be coming. And even the President of the United States is not immune to this burden that's about to come in, crossing with the Emperor. So here we are. This is, the leaders are under an incredible amount of burden. Now, mind you, Joe Biden is 82 years old. Or 81 years old. He's not a young guy. He's an old guy. And the thing with the Emperor, he's also an old guy. But it would be a mistake to view him as a doddering old fool. This man is still in his battle armor. He has gone to war many times, and he's still a formidable foe. Joe Biden has 2 or 3 times now just totally owned the Republicans, starting with that State of Union speech and now this debt ceiling, where he has completely and utterly outmaneuvered the GOP. The GOP is jeering him and causing all stuff, and then he just deftly moves around him and gets them to agree with him on certain things. But again, it's a burden. He's an older guy, and it's a burden on him. And that tripping, is that a message to slow down or to pay attention to what's going on? Okay, in the past, we've got the 6 of Coins. This is Joe Biden helping out ordinary Americans on both sides of the aisle. He doesn't only help Republicans. He doesn't only help Democrats. He helps people. And the people he's helping right now have been the marginalized people. And, the GOP, basically, they encouraged the marginalization of people. They gave him nothing and took away a lot. And he's trying to give it back. No. The Republicans wanted people on food stamps, able-bodied people between the ages of 18 and 50 to be working, but Biden also got them to expand the food stamp program to include homeless people, teens in foster care, disabled vets, all sorts of things. People that are now on there that weren't able to get on there before. So again, so we're looking at this trip, and it's showing the generosity that has happened in the past. Current situation, King of Wands. It's what's the next action? What's the next step forward? There's an interesting term. The next step forward for the Biden administration and for the country. We have a lot of court cases coming up. We cannot afford to trip and stumble. We're going to have to really pay attention to what's going on and make some very judicious decisions. It's not just our country that's impacted by this, it's the world. And I'm looking at Ukraine as an example of something where we cannot afford to slip up. Overarching energy, Queen of Swords. Need to make firm, rational, almost, intellectually ruthless decisions. There are some really tough decisions that are coming up with the plan that we have coming up here. And it's interesting because I do use this as my Merrick Garland card. So this could also be, the DOJ is coming, and you got Fonnie Willis, you've got Jack Smith, you've got some issues impacting the United States that are going to be some very defining issues, and we have to not trip on these issues. I know in the comments, I just did a video recently about Trump and the Mar-a-Lago documents, and a lot of people were concerned, or a number of people certainly are concerned, that if Merrick Garland doesn't do something to punish a former president for basically admitting that he purposely took documents away, and they can't recover all of them, and he's probably sold them, and he's been committing espionage. Let's call it what it is. If you don't do that, what's going to prevent the next president from doing that? If we don't hold the people who were responsible for the coup accountable for that and incarcerate them, what's going to prevent the next one? Tough decisions ahead. Lesson to be learned is the Page of Cups. Yeah, he looked like a doofus falling down. He's also an old guy. But this is also, I think this also opened the eyes to young people about, not that they hadn't figured out who the GOP were, but it's just like they might look at Joe Biden as like, yeah, he's this, that, the other thing, but it's like, it's not cool to laugh at somebody who's falling like that. He wasn't doing anything dumb to deserve that. But again, I think that, whatever decision we make is going to affect the young people in this country. And, that the plan that we have for the country, the decisions that need to be made, they impact the young people. The young people are the most ones impacted by the decisions of the DOJ on this case. Outcome, Queen of Wands. Again, we have queens and kings. This is, looking at decisions that need to be made and using wisdom, like in the cat here, to make those decisions. How interesting. The cat's black. The sandbag was black. How many people have almost been killed by their cats walking under their feet as they're just trying to walk down the hallway, minding their own business, much less, carrying something down the stairs or up the stairs, and the cat suddenly darts in front of you and runs up or down the stairs in front of you, or just runs around your feet and tries to trip you up. I'm not saying the sandbag was a cat that jumped in front of him, but it's an interesting visual reference on this one. Decisions need to be made. Actions need to be taken. And it needs to be done with the best interest of everybody involved in it. These are going to be tough times, and we need to make good decisions on those tough times. Okay, so in the end of the day, Joe Biden's he's going to have to slow down and work with the DOJ, work with his team to make sure that the decisions we're making are the ones that aren't going to trip up the country and send us down the stairs and breaking our neck. And those decisions may not be the decisions that we want. Again, think about all the people laughing at him and mocking him and just being cruel to an 80-something-year-old man tripping and falling over a bag that he didn't see. There's a certain kind of perverse cruelty in that. And we can't get lost in that kind of emotion. That type of emotion, that type of sentiment will tear this country apart. When the one thing we need to be doing is taking care of each other. Okay, so that's my reading on the spiritual significance of Joe Biden's trip. I hope you enjoyed this video. Do all the YouTube-y stuff, leave a comment. If you have any questions for me, I have a community page questionnaire opened up. It's a really great way for me to put all the questions in one area, and then when I'm on the weekend, it's like, I wonder what I'm going to read on. I just go right down that list and start throwing cards on those, unless something more interesting happens that wasn't available when the questions were asked, like Joe Biden tripping over a sandbag. Okay, but thank you again for all your support. I really do appreciate it, and I'll catch you on the next video. Have a great weekend. Bye-bye.